Hello everybody, 'tis I, the Rumpled One. Fake food, part of the money games. GMOs, another part of the money game. It's funny how sometimes from a bunch of different sources, everything just comes together. I had posted a question on a Facebook page and I said, why did people vote against GMO labeling? Because here in the great state of Oregon, they voted out. And one person said, I'm guessing, not speaking for anyone, that the price hike scare tactic worked and people were afraid they would be paying more for food. Well, if you've been following the GMO labeling initiatives and the politics, the companies have spent over $100 million campaigning to have against this, against labeling. Why would they spend that much money? I mean, I think for $100 million you could change the printing presses and just put the labels on the food. So obviously there's something else behind it. But then the reason I'm even mentioning this is because of what this one young woman posted. She said, if I had voted, I most likely would have opposed it for that reason. I would rather have food that screws up our systems than starve. Ponder that for a second or two. Somebody would rather have food that screws up their system than to starve. I mean, I asked her, why is starve the only other option? And then somebody else said, ask me, do I really think that GMO labeling would help? And so I said, I don't know what you mean by help, but what it would do is give people the opportunity to choose. I mean, really. And so then I asked that lady about the only alternative being starving. She goes, how would I grow my own food in an apartment? Well, as you preppers know, there's lots of things you could do. You could have window boxes. You can do 5-gallon container gardening. I mean, there's a lot you could do. I mean, in just a few square foot of space. If you saw the planters that I built out of pallets, I mean, if you've got a little patio or something at your apartment, you could do it. Or you could go to a community grow space. I mean, there's lots of alternatives. And then somebody else says, have we known in the past what it was grown in? No, and we are not dead yet. Well, that might be true to some extent, except, things like cancer are on the rise. And some of these other diseases and illnesses have been linked to what's in the food and what's not in the food. So, I just find that interesting. I mean, part of the problem is with the money games and all, is that, once again, our minds have been so programmed to be dependent upon the system. And the system, we're realizing, is very fragile. In fact, I started reading this book called X Trends, where it's talking about extreme things that could happen. And you see, with the food, we've gotten away from the hunting gatherer, the agriculture, to the industrial, to the information society. And we are just so dependent upon the delivery chain that any monkey wrench could just throw us into a tailspin. I mean, if the internet goes down, you can't shop. the electricity goes off, you can't shop. But see, that's just it. We're trained to be shoppers rather than producers, growers, manufacturers. I mean, there was a point in time when most things were handmade and store-bought was the exception. Now it's the other way around. Store-bought's the rule. Handmade, homegrown's the exception. We've gone we've gone to the other side, 180 degrees. And you might be wondering, why do I have this box of Hamburger Helper here? In fact, maybe I'll just save that for another video, because that's a whole story in itself. But the point is that we're dependent upon the system as opposed to ourselves, and we have leaders, elected leaders, that want to keep it that way and make us more so. Once again, the American spirit, independence, can do, has been programmed out of us, has been taught out of us. They don't teach that in school anymore. And we're not taught to do things with our hands, with our own labor. And it's just a sad state of affairs. But I mean, viewers, you tell me, would you rather eat something that's bad for you than starve? I mean, and why is that the only alternative? I mean, yes, if you live in the city, it might be hard to grow, but you can always find a way. And that's just it. We spend more time in front of TV and the internet than we do doing things, which is a whole nother topic. So rather than make this just going all drawn out, I'll just leave you with those questions and thoughts to ponder. And let me know in the replies. Once again, I appreciate you guys watching, listening, and votes of confidence and the kind words that you send my way. I really do appreciate it. So, but hopefully this might start the wheels in your mind to turning and thinking, you know what? Maybe I do need to start producing a little bit of my own food.